Yeah.
Okay, so you are
Currently in
you're a lot
Singapore.
further ahead of me than you. Okay. I thought, are you in the UAE?
No, I'm in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia.
Well, Asia. Okay, so yeah, you're even further. Wow. Okay. Well, good evening to you then.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a night owl with us. Okay, I'm gonna wait just another minute while we're waiting for some of the rest of the group to come in. And while I do that, I'm gonna open up the quiz activity for later so that we have that done. There we go, there's one. Okay. Turn editing off. If you happen to be in the Moodle right now, in order to see the quiz from today that I'm about to mention, you're going to probably need to refresh because I had it hidden until just now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the agenda for today. But actually, before I do that, I'm going to give you the agenda. Because I think last time I thought I had and I hadn't. So let me go ahead and give it to you now. So that if you want to follow along on your own copy or have it for later, you have that as an option. Okay. You should have a PDF version. Oh, nope, that's the Word. Let me put the PDF version in the box. There we go. Okay. So welcome everybody who was able to make it on time now. I believe we have our recording in progress. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to be working on today. And got to find the right screen. This is the window I want to show. Okay. Okay, so I'm excited to get into your Myers-Briggs results. But what I wanted to do is first give you an overview, much like I did last week, and then we're going to go into some critical thinking engagements. There's just a couple of the objectives that we're not going to cover in the video manager hot seat work that we're going to do today. And so I'll give you a brief connection to those, but I went ahead and included my notes. It seems silly for me to read my notes to you because you might have some questions about the objectives, and that way you have my notes here in the agenda. And once we finish the video engagement, if there's something about the objectives for both chapter 2 and chapter 4 that didn't settle with you or that you have a question about or you want to have a dialogue around, we can do that. And then I want to front load for the 20th of June session. And we're going to end a little early today because we have a chapter evaluation that's a little bit more time intensive, and I want to give you the time to do that. I also know that this is the evening for many of you, and it gets later and later. And So this way you can do that chapter evaluation, which will be your quiz for this week. And I'll talk you through what that looks like. I'll stay online for a little bit in case you have some questions, and then we will depart until the 20th of June. Any questions about the agenda for today so far?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So, you must know it's very daunting not being able to see all of you. So I do reach out with you for verbal affirmations because I don't want to just keep talking and have it not make any sense. So I will check in with you all. And if one or two of you just says we're good or we've got it, or if you ask your questions, that's absolutely acceptable. Okay. Let's go now into the critical thinking engagement. The image that you see on the screen, and I can try to enlarge it. Just 1 second here. The image on the screen says, your words have the power to heal and destroy. Use them wisely. So what I want it to do is ask you to either share out or put into the chat box, how does this quote relate to our chapter readings? We had chapter 2 and chapter 4 this week. And I want you to integrate maybe something that stood out to you that connects to this quote, or something that the chapter left you wondering about that connects to this quote. Your words have the power to heal and to destroy. Use them wisely. What are your thoughts on that?
Can I go first?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, this is really correct. What can I say? Phrase, okay? Because words can, when it's used correct, can build a human, can build a society. Okay. Otherwise, if it's used in the wrong way, can destroy, can start a war. I have read. I am reading a book called The Fourth Acknowledgement, and it's talking about how strong our words. And I'm quoting from the book that the World War II, okay, happened because of Hitler, not Hitler, because the words of Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a huge war that led to millions of deaths happened because of words. Okay, and we can see it also even now. Okay, the I don't want to refer to a specific situation or something, but for example, if we are talking about Arabs, okay, some people, once you say Arabs or Muslims or even black, okay, they start having certain kind of feeling, which lead to emotions, which lead to actions.
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning is what? Is a word. So definitely this is really correct phrase. And at the same time, if you speak to a child, okay, and you encourage him, you know, give him the opportunity to express himself, to do whatever he wants, and even if you are punishing him with the correct words, it can build his character, it can build his behavior, future behavior toward situations. So yes, this is really nice words.
Well, so if we extend that to organizational behaviors,
Exactly.
You gave some great experiences that we all are privy to, but not necessarily like experiencing on a day-to-day basis. But those kinds of experiences happen in another way in the workplaces, right?
I can say it's happening with me. I can share a situation which is actually is in progress, in like it's actually happening right now. Okay, because of words of people. Okay, my new manager got a certain perspective about me and my performance and my behavior. Okay, and with one actual incident happened, someone complained about me that I spoke with them in a way that made them uncomfortable. They formally complained. Okay, I have been put on the side without any responsibilities for almost 3 or 4 months, which led me, okay, to start searching for another job. So yes, the words can in the organizations, yes, it can have, it is having a huge effect over the employees. So I understand it. I apologize first for the vague answer, not the vague answer, for the non-related to our subject. Okay, but yes, when it's come to organization behavior, yes, it has huge words. Okay. Also, when a manager encourages their employees, sometimes the employee just needs the word "good work." You did good. That their morale will become higher, their productivity will become higher. It's like it's even better. Sometimes it's even better than a monetary reward. That's it.
Thank you. You actually brought in some of the characteristics of the definition of personality. That's the first objective for chapter 2. So that's looking at that nature and nurture in that scenario. I want to hear from some more. What are your thoughts?
Can I share my opinion?
Absolutely.
Okay. Actually, words do motivation and affect emotions, and according to the emotion, attitude, and behavior models, so words can affect beliefs, feeling, and behavior intentions. So it affects directly to the behavior, of course. It is considered a part of emotional intelligence, as I can manage through words others' emotions, of course. So it is a part of the model. The voice can make people say it's right in organization, or complain about something, or defend for some other one. So it is a part of the EVLN model too. The words can cause effective organizational commitment through higher motivations, and it builds effective commitment, of course. Words can contribute directly in stress. Good words can relieve stress, and bad words can be a stressor for humans, of course. So this is a brief, and thank you.
Thank you. You brought up a really good point about the emotional intelligence and how we even approach leadership for any perspective. So if we're looking at 10, 20 years ago, an educational program would not have a lot for emotional intelligence incorporated. Like an organizational behavior course would be more about the processes not necessarily about how the processes and procedures are interacted with. And I'm not going to give it away, but that's why we brought in a video today, Nuran, is the video captures a lot of what you're saying. We're going to look at not just the words that are being said, and I know that's what the quote is about, but also the tone, also the disposition, and how that can help or hinder our success in our workforces. So let's hear from a couple more people.
Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the way of my understanding here. The power to destroy and heal. This means that the tank has the power, and you should choose wisely where you will stay, the heal or the destroy. Many see that action speaks louder than words, but for me, I prefer to build myself by my word. That's all.
Thank you.
Professor, can I share some of my opinions?
Absolutely.
To me, is if the employer is giving out a positive word, right? The employee itself can hear, but in a negative word, you will destroy them. In the positive way is that the employee itself can bring their extra version of their personality, which allows them to be more outgoing, more talkative, and more energetic. So which actually will help the organization to be improved. Where if the employee choose their wrong words, it will impact in the terms of employees will respond to this dissatisfaction. So perhaps we can see the EBLM model here, where the employee himself might choose to quit or choose to being absent from work or from the organization, or perhaps even neglect to their duty, which actually will affect to perhaps reducing the work effort or even the work quality as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for talking it out a little bit. I think that there's real power in having this kind of discussion as our opener, because it sets the stage for really thinking through.
Professor.
Yes.
Hello, Professor. Do you hear me?
Hello.
Okay.
I can hear
In my
you.
opinion, the words affect the other person, their motivation or their inspire, so you can sometimes use in a wisely. Because of them, sometimes when we are at work or other places, there are other people that have used in responded words like and then finally they disappointed the other persons. Example, as a manager motivate these words the other employees, or it will disappoint and affect the performance of this of the worker.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move us into the learning objectives now, because I have just two from each of the chapters that we are not going to explicitly cover, although we already engaged with some of their content just in that brief discussion. But what I did, like I explained if you weren't with us at the very beginning, when I did the overview, was I just took a couple of the objectives from each of the chapters that were not explicitly covered in the engagement that we're about to do, so that you can actually read and have my notes. The PDF document is in the chat box for your use, and that way you have my notes to go back to for those specific objectives. So that first objective about defining personality and looking at conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness to experience, and extroversion are all included in that. And it goes into a little bit more detail, but something that I really wanted to point out was that conscientiousness and agreeableness are the two best personality predictors of organizational citizenship, and negatively counterproductive work behaviors. So there's 4 issues that we want to consider. With that, we want to consider specific personality traits. Hence, we worked on the Myers-Briggs, sometimes being better predictors of behavior than the broader big 5 factors. And that personality changes to some extent over a person's life. And also, I want to say personality can be adaptable. If you've heard of the term of being a chameleon, you can adapt to different scenarios, and your personality can be very interactive in a scenario that maybe isn't most in tune to you. For example, I'm very much an introvert. I would be that person that would sit with a few people at a large gathering rather than be the one running the show. I've been put in many scenarios many times where I am the one running the show as a keynote speaker or as the person providing the professional learning. And I can do that, but when I leave that scenario, my personality can be engaging with others, but when I leave that scenario, it's more draining for me. I have to have a little bit of a reprieve. I have to go out for a walk, be in nature, and that will re-energize me. Another person might have that kind of experience and it fuels them and it gives them more energy and they want to go do more and they just can't wait and they're more full of energy and aren't required for that reprieve. So there's a lot of things for us to consider when we look at defining personality. Were there any things that stood out to any of you in relation to this objective?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's really clear.
It's pretty simplistic. So then the next area that we're not going to explicitly cover is looking at the 5 values commonly studied across cultures. And when we look at individualism, collectivism, power distance, uncertainty avoidance, and achievement nurturing orientations, it's important to know that if you're coming to a scenario through the lens of individualism, your colleagues or other people may be coming with a power distance or with uncertainty, which would bring in avoidance. And so that's where the value of these areas that come across cultures. So when you're working internationally, you can't assume you can be better equipped to be able to engage in a way that's encompassing to all of the values that are being experienced. Anything stand out to anybody within that objective? Okay. So then when we look into chapter 4's content, it's also the 1st and 5th objective that aren't explicitly covered in the engagement that we're about to do.
Professor,
And that first, yes.
sorry to interrupt. I want to ask about one thing in chapter 2, which was the dark triad, because it was not clear for me. Is it a personality model or it is the negative characteristics in personality? It was not clear for me, the objective of this part.
Can you type that in the chat box? And when we complete the engagement, if that is not answered for you, then we will have a conversation about it as well, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, so then when we look at explaining emotions and cognition, that conscious reasoning, there were things that were shared in the chapter 4 that were influencers. And I'm not going to go over my notes that are there because a lot of us live this out on a daily basis. It's just being mindful of the dual process that's apparent, okay? And making sure that we are not inadvertently negatively influencing those attitudes and behaviors when our intention is to be positive. And that connects to the engagement with the quote that we started out with, because our words are very powerful and our intentions don't always come clearly through the words that we're saying. So being very explicit in regards to our intentions behind our words are going to be important for when we're influencing attitudes and behaviors. And then we looked at identifying stress in the workplace. And there were a few things in regards to changing stress perceptions and controlling stress consequences that were mentioned that I thought were important to keep note of. Anything from chapter 4, either the first or fifth objective, or any of the other objectives that stood out that were unclear?
Clear, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to, fingers crossed, engage with this video content. It's about 8.5 minutes, I believe. And it's a manager's hot seat. It's a part of the curriculum that comes with the textbook. So it's a little bit of an older video, in my opinion, but it is a great representation of bullying in the workplace. It's a manager meeting with an employee, and what we're going to do is we're going to do an analysis of this video through our Myers-Briggs testing results, okay? And the topics that are going to be covered in that 8 minutes include individual behaviors, personality, values, workplace attitudes, emotions, and stress. What we're going to do during the video while we're watching it is you have to first decide who you're going to focus on, because there's a lot of dynamics going on, not only in what's being said, but in the body language and the interactions. So first, I want you to think about if you want to focus on the employee or the manager. And you have access to this video, so you can go back and do it through the other lens at another time if you find it to add a lot of value for you. But for this purpose right now, I will want you to decide if you're going to focus on the employee or the manager. And then I want you to, either on your computer or on a sheet of paper, make a 2-column chart. It can be side to side, it can be top to bottom, it doesn't matter. The 2-column chart is going to encompass the first column representing what's going well. If I'm choosing to focus on the employee during this video, what is the employee doing well to build success through this conversation? And then in the second column, what could be improved upon? So you're not bringing in your Myers-Briggs dynamic yet. You're just observing either the employee or the manager, and you'll get the interactions of both and how they feed off of each other. But in the first column, you're going to put what's going well. The second column, what could be improved upon. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about how knowing the Myers-Briggs results of these two individuals could have helped in this scenario. Okay, so we'll come back together for a brief question clarifications, and then we're going to take about 15 minutes of reflection time. And during the reflection time is where we'll bring in our Myers-Briggs, if we were the employee or the manager. And I'll read through those directions when we come back. You have them in the document if you wanna, if it helps you to look at it ahead of time, but it's after the video that we'll bring in the Myers-Briggs component and have an open discussion. Okay, so we're going to start with the video. And give me 1 second to see if I can do it from the video library. I can. Okay. The link that you have in the document for reference, this link right here, is actually, I had to do a recording of the recording to put it in my Google Drive, just in case I wouldn't be able to get into the McGraw-Hill video library today to share it. So the audio might be a little bit more muddled in that version because, like I said, it is an older video. And this version that we're going to experience right now is the audio is a little bit muddled. So I will make it pretty loud so you can turn it down on your end if you need to. And